if you wanted to start this hobby from scratch, basic kit. It could be a Jeep, it could be a plane, a ship, a boat, a racing car, a bike, whatever. Pair of tweezers, they're very important thing to have. You then need a knife. You can have a scalpel, but this is expensive. They're very sharp and you've got to buy new blades. You can start with just a simple disposable knife, you know, very simple. Another thing to possibly think of is maybe some snips. You've got your file of some sort. There are many different ones of different varying grit, okay, a nice file, and your glue. Tamiya glue, liquid glue is the way to go nowadays. It bonds the plastic together rather than just having this gloop of the olden days where you get the glue and it'd be everywhere. This is the way to go. So you could have this set up here for probably, you know, your tools, you're probably looking at 15 quid with a bit of glue, not including the paints, okay? You've got different types of paints, but your model kit can be anything from a fiver for 25 quid. It's entirely up to you, whatever is your thing to build a model kit. The thing to get out of this hobby is, do you enjoy it? This is a part built kit. I've already started this a while ago, but what you get in any kit, and depending on the quality of a kit, you'll get your instructions there. Some will be very in depth, some will be you need a degree to understand them. So we've got the instructions here for a Dragon kit for this M1A2 SEP, which is an American main battle tank. It gives you all the list of the bits on there. The dark areas are the bits that they've put in the kit for other versions, not for this version, so you've got spares if you want to do a different type. They're very good. Most tanks start with the hull, building the tracks first, the wheels, etc. And they're very detailed as to what part numbers go on what place. A good quality model kit will have good quality instructions, and that's what these are. Dragon are one of the better ones for armour. All models of any type, really, depending on whatever you're building, they'll all come in what these are called sprues. Every bit of that kit is in one of these, and here we have the number there, the letter, sorry, which is P, so, and Q. So in the corresponding instructions there would be P6. You'd find that part, which is P6, cut that off, goes to wherever it's supposed to go. So this is how all kits turn up, and then you've just got a little bit of tidying up on each piece. The wheels and the hull pieces, they're all there, and your task is to put it together and hopefully come up with something resembling what the end of the instructions says. A lot of them, they all need cutting off, they all need cleaning up, depending on the model, the manufacturer. Some need cleaning up more than others. Some of the older kits, the sort of 20, 30, 40-year-old kits need a lot of cleanup. The more modern kits don't need any cleanup at all, or very small amounts. Quite often these new kits now, they'll turn up with extras to make them a little bit nicer. So this particular one has an aluminium turned barrel, so that just adds to the overall effect, because when you're putting two bits of plastic together to make a barrel, you glue it and then you have to file it to try and make that smooth barrel. You can guarantee you're going to make a flat edge somewhere. You could make a mistake unless you really know what you're doing with the filing. So these aluminium barrels, they really do finish off the model, because it's kind of the focus piece of a tank, the barrel, so very good. A lot of them come with these plastic tracks. They're okay for beginners, but a lot of the time you can get them in individual links. You can get every single link here individual. They're more for the experienced modelers, so these really are just like the old school thing. Put it together, get a hot screwdriver, and then just melt it together, and then you've got your tracks, and then they fit on the model. These ideally need painting, just like every other part. They can be a pain to paint because of the material, but it's all part of the fun and the enjoyment of modelling. Right, what I'm doing with this is an American M1 Abrams tank, main battle tank, and you'll find with quite a lot of these kits nowadays, there'll be what's called injection moulding marks. So they're little marks where in the process of making this in the factory, when the moulds come off, like these, they come out of the machine and they leave little marks on there. So sometimes you've got to fill those marks in Sometimes you might make a mistake and need to just fill that in as well. Little gaps might need filling in, so they just add to preparation and add to the overall effect at the end of it. This is my fortress of solitude. This is where I come to de-stress from my daily life as a nurse, and here I have everything I need to make my models, from the opening the box to putting them on the display cabinet where they're finished. So I have, at the moment we're set up here for a painting. This is a spray booth, and going down the back here underneath, coming out here is an extraction fan which goes out the window. So I turn that on. I have my compressors here, and that is for my airbrush, which is set up here. Obviously got all the paint selection there, so I can paint to my heart's content. And the idea with the lights, you've got to have good light for painting. I can fold all that away so it's flat there, and I can then use this whole bench as the actual construction part of modelling. I personally like to model with a DVD on. Some people like music. I prefer to have a DVD, but that's my personal preference. And I have all my stuff here and behind here, everything I need, me personally, to make and construct my models. This is where my models end up. Not all of these are kits I've built. Some of them are die-cast kits. So they start like this with the boxes, and they hopefully end up on the display shelf. These are different planes that I've built, and these, you know, I do everything from World War II to science fiction to you know, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, you name it. It's a model kit. It doesn't matter what you build. It doesn't matter, like I've said before, if you build a plane, a ship, a racing car, a bike, or a spaceship. It doesn't matter. The enjoyment is building and having something at the end of it that you are happy with. So this is where they end up. I'm a big Star Trek fan, and there are lots of Star Trek models, and I took it upon myself to actually build this beastie. It took me 2 years to build, and it's out of 2 kits, this one. And it lights up. I took inspiration from a couple of films and a couple of episodes and just my knowledge of Star Trek, and designed and built the stand from scratch, all out of flat plastic. Took 2 kits and built this up. I'm quite proud of it because I had all the decals specially made for it. So the USS Kelvin, you cannot buy decals in the shop, so I had to have these. I found the font online, created the decals in the right spacing and the right size that I wanted, and the right angle, and then sent those off to a guy that I found online who created them for me, the registration marks, etc. And I was able to get the USS Kelvin with the NCC 514 plus these decals here. So these were from the kit, and then I replaced this here. Same with all of this here, replaced it and made it and replaced them. So there is no other kit like that in the world. There are renders of it, you know, computer renders online you can find, but no one's made that kit. That's mine. I totally created that. That's kind of like, in my view, the ultimate expression of this hobby is to build something out of your mind and really be proud of it at the end and enjoy it at the end. And I do with this one. This is a diorama I completed a few years ago. Took me a good few years to build. All this stuff is commercially available, the figures, the jeeps, the ambulance, the building, and I just obviously enhanced it. I built the jeeps and added extras to the jeeps from my historical books that I have, just a bit of reference looking into them. And I just created this scene, you know, it is purely out of my own imagination, but coupled that with historical knowledge of battlegrounds in the Ardennes, etc. It's a Belgian farmhouse with an American reconnaissance unit that have come back to a unit that used to be part of their position, but they've now gone back to it. The American ambulance is on its side, and it's a reconnaissance unit moving forward again. I'm very proud of this. Still needs a glass cabinet to go over it to protect it, but I took a long time to do this, and I'm very proud of it. I think if you're just starting out in this hobby, the thing to do is reference what you're building. Look on YouTube for reviews of the kits. look on YouTube for reviews of the subject that you're building. But also not to expect miracles from yourself. If you're going to get a kit, be aware that that first kit you might buy might be a sacrificial kit. You might finish it and go, do you know what? It's absolutely, I don't like it. You might not like the hobby, or you go, I like the hobby, but I've not done a very good job on this kit. One thing I've found is every model that I build, I learn something from it. If it be when I'm painting, a technique of painting, a weathering technique, how I want to weather this particular plane over that particular plane, how different it is to weather a tank, to weathering a plane, to weathering a starship, So not expecting miracles from yourself. But the ultimate thing to remember with this hobby, in my view, is that it is something for you to enjoy. An escape from your daily life, escape from your daily hassles and problems that you have from the past. It helped me. It's one of those things where you can just shut the door. You don't have to have a man cave like this. You can have a lap tray. You can have a corner in the dining room table, wherever it works for you. But you can escape those problems that you've had in the past and just focus 100% on building whatever it is you want to build. And at the end of it, if you come out of it and go, I really enjoyed that, and I'm really proud of my piece of work that I've done there, then it's worked. The hobby has worked, and that's what it's all about. And over a period of time, you will become better and better and better at it. And you may look back at your first one and go, oh my God, what was I thinking? Or you may go, actually, they're not too bad. This is the bane of every modeller's life. You can't put every kit behind glass. Talking about mistakes that you can make, and this particular P51 Mustang, it's the first ever kit I've done where I wanted to paint it silver. And the mistake I made with it was I painted it silver and it came out lovely. But then having to paint the red on the back and then on the nose, the olive drab, what I should have done was paint some varnish, get some spray varnish on there to harden and secure that aluminium coloured paint on there first, and then paint the other colours. I didn't do that. So I'm now going through a process of rubbing down certain areas to start again. But that's all part of the enjoyment of the hobby. Enjoyment is probably, being a bit fast and loose with that term. It can be frustrating. You can have days where you just come along and everything you touch breaks. It falls on the floor, you never find it. There is a term that if you do come into this hobby and stay in this hobby, it's called the carpet monster. Once you build something, drop something on the carpet, you'll never see it again. The Hoover will take it, the carpet will take it. But if you do stay in the hobby, you will make mistakes, and you learn from those mistakes. You don't do it again, hopefully, and you just learn new techniques. And then ultimately at the end of that build, you go, yeah, I learned from that and I'm happy with the result. I started modelling when I was, I think, about 5 or 6, so it's just over 40 years that I've been modelling. When I started modelling, then it was just, that's what all my friends did. That's what you did as a young boy. That's what probably most blokes have done, veterans or not, And through my life, through my time in the military, now my time as a nurse, they've had their different stresses, the daily grind, etc. And as I've got older, and learned coping mechanisms, this hobby has helped me to just escape what I've been dealing with through the day and come back and just do a bit of model making every now and then, and just clear the mind. It kind of resets me for the day. I try and do a bit of modeling every day.